Only 3 things in this world are certain: death, taxes, and that statistically 90% of gambling addicts quit right before they're about to hit it big. Welcome to Balatro, the game which has recently given me a rather intense case of Stockholm Syndrome. Before I talk about the game itself though, I first need to talk about the name of it, because apparently you're meant to say it like this.
Balatro. Balatro.
Balatro.
Balatro.
Balatro.
Balatro.
Balatro. Balatro. Balatro.
Balatro.
However, I'm over 100 hours deep into this game. I've been calling it Balatro and have no intention of changing my pronunciation. So for the rest of this video, you have to sit and deal with the fact that I am deliberately saying the name of the game wrong. Balatro's got a lot of jokers in it, but lately I feel like I'm the real clown, because whenever I Alt F4 and try to take a break from the game, I'll blink and find out that I'm somehow already 10 rounds deep into another run. I'm convinced that this thing was made meticulously in a lab to be as addictive as possible to me specifically, because it's a roguelike, a genre which I am intimately familiar with. It's a deck builder, something else which I have wasted an egregious amount of my life doing. And to top it off, the main theme and mechanics of this game are built solely on one foundation: gambling.
Did you know that there was an illegal gambling operation going on just down the street from where you live?
No. It was illegal. What that's that? I ain't heard nothing about that.
And when you combined all of these things together, they end up creating the perfect storm of a game that, try as I might, I cannot stop fucking playing. And now I'm here to pitch it to you so that you can get addicted to the gambler's high just like me. So first and foremost, what is this game? How do you play this game? Don't worry, I'm going to give you a step-by-step breakdown as a sort of gateway drug to you eventually getting your house repossessed. To start, you need to pick a deck. Initially, you don't have any choice, but as you play through the game, you're going to unlock more of them until you have 15 of which to utilize. These vary from starting with bonus money all of the way to every card in your deck is fucking randomized. After you've picked your deck, you get to start up a run where you'll draw a bunch of playing cards from which you need to make the best poker hands that you possibly can. Now, being a connoisseur of Texas Hold'em is a mandatory requirement of anybody viewing this channel. However, I will still explain the different poker hands to you, because I know that somewhere out there's a 9-year-old kid watching this video, despite the fact that I've told YouTube it's not appropriate for children, who has not yet fallen victim to Genshin Impact or Pokemon cards, and so the responsibility falls upon my shoulders to make sure that that child becomes addicted to gambling. High card is the highest number card you played on its own, typically meaning you put down a bunch of random shit and hoped for the best. Pair is just a 2 of a kind. 2 pair is the same thing but in stereo. 3 of a kind is what it sounds like. A straight is 5 cards in a row numerically. Flush is 5 cards of the same suit. Full house is a 3 of a kind with a 2 of a kind. 4 of a kind is a 5 of a kind with 1 less card, and a straight flush is the 2 previous hand types smashed together in a hydraulic press. And because I know there's going to be some hunched over troglodyte saying this in my comment section if I don't mention it here, yes, there is also the royal flush, but it's basically the same thing as a straight flush in this game, so I'm not acknowledging it. When you play a hand, the game is going to give you a starting number of chips as well as a multiplier depending on the hand type used. Then each of the played cards is going to add its own value to the chip total before everything gets multiplied together to give you the final score for that played hand. For example, let's say I want to play this pair of 2s. A pair starts you off with 10 chips and a ×2 multiplier. I play both of my 2s, which add their own number to the chip total, bringing it to 14. Now, I'm not a mathematician, I'm not a fucking nerd, so I have no way of knowing how many chips we're gonna get when this multiplier goes off. However, the game does that part for you, so you don't need to worry about it. After everything is said and done, you can see that we have earned 28 chips for that hand, which is complete and utter shit when you consider the fact that we need 300 chips just to beat the first blind. Don't worry though, because you get more than one hand per round, and you also get a limited number of discards which you can use to filter out the garbage in order to make poker hands which are actually fucking good. When you win a round, you're gonna get to cash out depending on what kind of blind it was, how many spare hands you had left over, whether or not you'd saved up enough money to accrue any interest, and some other sources which I'm going to explain later. After that, you're gonna get taken to the shop where you can spend your money on a bunch of different shit to help improve your run, but mainly you're gonna want to look at the jokers. Jokers are absolutely Balatro's main attraction. They're the most interesting part of this game, they're the most varied part of this game, and above everything else in the game, they're gonna be the deciding factor on whether or not you win or lose. Much like in the real world, jokers don't go in the deck when it's being used, they instead get elevated above it, watching on unblinking as you make a bunch of playing mistakes and lose every fucking run that you attempt. Maybe if you had drafted anything other than economy jokers, this wouldn't be fucking happening? Unsurprisingly, one of the most basic and straightforward jokers in this game is Joker, who's going to give you a +4 multiplier to every hand that you play. Golden Joker is going to give you $4 at the end of each round. Zany Joker is going to give you a +12 multiplier if your hand contains a 3 of a kind. Odd Todd and Even Steven have canonically been married for several years. The former scores bonus chips for odd-numbered cards, and the latter gives you a multiplier bonus for even-numbered cards. How about that? Lusty Joker jerks you off.
JOI, if you know what I mean.
Half Joker has had a fucking bite taken out of him, I guess. Joker Stencil doesn't exist. Juggler increases the size of your hands. Drunkard is my self-insert. Bull has sex with your wife. Egg, and many more which I'm not going to be explaining to you because this game has 150 of these fucking things and I haven't even unlocked all of them yet. Go fuck yourself, Canio! You have a limited number of slots to put jokers in, so you're gonna want to pick and choose the ones you want that suit your own playstyle best. But jokers are not the only things you can use to help you win a run. For instance, you've also got vouchers. These are expensive but typically worthwhile because they give you permanent upgrades for the rest of your current run, such as additional hands, additional discards, an additional cap on the interest you can gain, and additional consumable slots. What's a consumable, you might ask? I'm obviously gonna explain that part, like, right now. Just wait for like 2 seconds. Why are you asking that kind of fucking question? Like, can you just be patient for once in your life? Can you just like chill out for like one? Consumable cards come in 3 flavors: Planet, Tarot, and Spectral, each of which have their own kind of packs which you can get the cards from. Planet cards level up each of the different poker hands, increasing the amount of multiplier and chips that they're going to give you. For instance, using a copy of the Earth adds 2 malt and 25 chips to all of your full houses, whereas using Pluto, which is a fucking planet, I don't care what anybody says to me, will add 10 chips and 1 multiplier to your high cards. Even with just a few levels, this can make any poker hand substantially better and even dwarf the abilities of many jokers, so it's not something that you want to ignore, especially if you're playing high value hands like flush 5s. Now you might be asking, Mordots, what the fuck is a flush 5? And to explain that, I'm gonna have to talk about tarot cards. Unlike the planets, these are not quite as straightforward to explain, but most of them involve changing or improving the cards in your deck. The Hierophant changes up to 2 selected cards into bonus cards, causing them to add 30 more chips when scored. The Empress does the same thing, except she changes the cards into mult cards, causing them to add a +4 to your multiplier when scored instead. Then you've got the Sun, the Star, the Moon, and the World, which each change up to 3 cards into one of the 4 suits. Not every tarot card is like this though. For instance, you've got 2 of my personal favorites, the Money Makers. There's the magic moment. The Hermit doubles your money capped at $20, whereas Temperance gives you money equal to the combined selling value of all of your current jokers capped at $50. You might think that that's as good as it gets, but you'd be fucking wrong, because the Hanged Man is going to cyberbully 2 of the cards in your deck into permanently roping themselves out of it. Alternatively, Death lets you pick 2 cards in your hand and turn the one on the left into a perfect copy of the one on the right. Utilizing all of these tarot cards as well as the packs in the shop, you too can transform your normal poker deck into nothing but 36 copies of the Ace of Hearts and win through the power of love. But maybe you don't care about love. Maybe you only care about the next best thing. Ghosts. Fair enough, I apologize. I was not familiar with your game. Let me make it up to you by telling you about Spectral cards. These are a lot rarer than the Planet or Tarot cards. The packs don't show up in the shop very often, and the cards themselves don't appear in there unless you're using the Luigi's Mansion deck, which I am for the purpose of recording this footage. Cryptid lets you make 2 permanent copies of a selected card in your hand. Aura gives 1 selected card a foil, holographic, or polychrome effect. Sigil converts every card in your hand into 1 random suit. Hex adds the polychrome effect to a random joker and then destroys the rest of them. Ankh does the same thing, except it copies a random joker instead. Then you've got Immolate, which burns away 5 random cards in your hand to give you $20. You may notice that I only had 5 cards left in my deck when I did this and immediately proceeded to lose the run, just because I wanted to know what would happen. Then on top of all of this, there are 4 Spectral cards which add a seal to your cards to further change and enhance them. Don't worry if this sounds overwhelming to you, because I'm going to go into 4 long-winded, time-consuming tangents about what each of these does. When utilized well, all of the things I've taught you here can be used to get some real dopamine boosting numbers on your screen, which you're gonna want to see if you plan on making it to the higher antes. But what does that mean? How do we get to the higher antes? Well, much like with real poker, you're gonna have to deal with the 3 types of blinds: the small blind, the big blind, and the boss blind. For the small and big blinds, all you have to do is get a high enough score before you run out of hands. However, the boss blinds bring with them a special effect or condition which you have to adhere to. These include, but are not limited to, losing $1 per played card, every face face card is drawn face down. Cards played previously this ante are debuffed, -1 hand size. You must play 5 cards every hand. All of your spades can go fuck themselves. All of your diamonds can go fuck themselves. You must win in a single hand, and many more which I'm not going to be talking about. When you defeat a boss, all 3 of the blinds reset, you get sent back to the small blind, and the ante increases, which means the required scoring goes up for the rest of the run. Now, if what I just said didn't make any sense to you because I said it like shit, let me use some simpler language to really hammer that point in. Number go up, number keep going up, number keep going up until you lose, unless you also make number go up. Now at this point I could tell you about how you can skip the small and big blinds entirely. Some jokers care about you doing that, and you even get a tag for doing it, which is yet another thing that can give you unique and interesting bonuses to help improve your run, but I've already spent far too much time yapping about the mechanics of this game, so instead let me tell you about my favourite things to do in the game. The first thing you need to know is that I fucking love stacking fat wads of cash anytime I have the option to do so.
Hello, I like money.
What inspired you to
Use the yellow deck in Balatro.
The lucky card enhancement can be gotten from the magician and has a chance when triggered to give you a +20 to your multiplier bonus. Yawn, who gives a fuck? The more important part is that it also has a chance to give you $20 fucking dollars. Oops all sixes, otherwise known as the dice, doubles all of your probability, and the final piece of this RNG puzzle is none other than Turbo Granny from Dandadan. This is because Lucky Cat gets a 0.25 times multiplier bonus every time a lucky card goes off. Up until this point in the video, I've only been telling you about plus mult cards, which add the number shown to your multiplier, whereas times mult cards multiply your multiplier by the amount shown instead. As mentioned before, I'm not into my mathematics. I'm far too busy lifting weights at the gym so I can shadowbox my demons every night, but even I'm aware that if you multiply a number by 1.5 times over and over again, eventually you're gonna get a number that has a letter in it, and let me tell you, when I see a letter in my numbers, that's when I check out of mathematics entirely. Science isn't real and there's no such thing as an equation. This would be a fantastic time to segue into telling you about some of the most broken, ridiculous strategies this game has to offer, but I'm not gonna do that. If you want tips on how to win, just play Photo Chat. I'm not going to explain it to you, just buy both of these jokers and win every single run you try from here on out. Bonus tip, if you like farming karma, then all you have to do is post a picture of these 2 jokers on the Balatro subreddit and you'll be getting more upvotes than you ever thought was possible. Pause, stop the video, stop the show. Breaking news, well, okay, it's probably not breaking news by the time this video goes live, but it's breaking news to me right now as I say this, and that's good enough for me. The Balatro subreddit just had a brief meltdown because it turns out one of the moderators is an AI bro who was condoning the posting of AI art on the subreddit. Obviously, everybody fucking hated this, including the game's creator and publisher, who both made statements saying, hey guys, AI creations are, you know, fucking bad, and now the guy's been removed as a moderator, so just thought I'd mention that little story to you while it's hot off the press. If you want more information, you can go watch this video right here. Now, I could sit here and spend the next 20 minutes telling you about every single joker I enjoy using, but all of them pale in comparison to my favourite, which is Cloud9, giving you $1 at the end of every round for each 9 you've got in your deck. At first, this thing's only going to be paying you like $4, but with a few card acquisitions and a bit of card manipulation, you're going to notice that your profits quickly start getting a little bit out of control. Fun fact, if your first hand of the round is a single card, then the DNA Joker is going to give you a permanent copy of that card, adding it to your deck and even drawing it to your hand. With this combination, you now literally have the ability to print your own money. However, we've learned in society that sometimes printing your own money isn't the right move to make. But it is the right move to make for us, so let's do it even more with 2 of the most powerful jokers in this entire game, Blueprint and Brainstorm. Blueprint copies the effect of whichever joker is placed immediately to its right, whereas does the same thing, except it targets the joker which is furthest on the left. They're even compatible with each other, which means one of the most common ways you'll see them used is staring lovingly into each other's eyes as they both copy the same effect. With all of the pieces in place, you now have the ability to add 3 9s to your deck every round, significantly improving your payouts, allowing you to buy everything you want in the shop, only to go to the next blind and lose because it turns out this strategy isn't very fucking good. But I couldn't give a fuck. I'm a Cloud9 ride or die. lie, because at the end of the day, for me, this game isn't about seeing how high of a score you can get. No, for me, this game's purpose is scratching my gambling itch before I find myself sleepwalking down to the local Grosvenor casino for the 5th time this week. No, I don't have a problem. I can quit anytime I want to. In summary, this game has many different ways you can play it, and no two runs are quite the same. I didn't even end up telling you about legendary jokers, which are super rare and hard to get. 4 of these are really powerful and interesting, and also Shiko exists. Another thing I have to give this game high praise for is its soundtrack, because each piece of music seamlessly blends into the next, making me feel like I'm playing it in the vast expanse of space. During this video, I've been playing you Bowser's theme from Super Mario 3D World, but to wrap this up, I'm gonna let you listen to the soundtrack for yourself so that you can experience just how ethereal it is.
In early 2006, Neil deGrasse Tyson accidentally blew up Pluto and has been trying to hide the fact ever since.
It's enchanting, captivating, the type of soundtrack you can hear after losing in the most horrific way possible, only to then tell yourself, okay fine, maybe I'll play just one more run. When I first started working on this video, there were a couple of things that I was going to criticize, but after playing it so much and gambling so hard, I've realized I don't have any valid critique of this game. I think it's a fucking masterpiece. I've only encountered a couple of bugs and glitches while playing it, and they've been pretty minute, irrelevant, and in some cases, kinda funny. The game's got a lot of longevity to it. There are some achievements which take a long time to get, and if you ever get sick of the main version of the game, there are 20 challenges you can go and do instead. Some of these are interesting, thought-provoking, and will have you tackling the game in ways you haven't done before. Meanwhile, others can go and take a lethal dose of anything. I never want to see the golden needle again for as long as I fucking live. The game even comes with its own fucking CRT slider, so you can decide if you want it to look like Smash Bros 4 or Smash Bros 64. Personally, I like to leave mine on the Smash Bros Melee setting in honor of my favorite person in the entire world. Hungry Box. Anyway, to wrap this video up, Balatro, incredible game, go and buy it, go and play it, 1 out of 1, very affordable. Originally, I wanted to have this video out by the end of January, and now I'm going to give you all a moment to pause and laugh at me because it's the middle of fucking March. I don't have any valid excuses for this, I'm just an idiot who's really slow at editing. My days consist of waking up at 3 PM on my dining room floor, taking my daily dose of Kuromi flavored medication, and then playing modded Minecraft until my retinas start to hurt. Anyway, I've gone off the rails and no longer know how to end this video, so it's ending, dude. It's over. Massive shout out to everybody who watched the end of the Leveling Race series. That final video took a lot of work, and I don't think I'm gonna put that much effort into a single project ever again. I'd love to tell you that the next one's going to take less time than this one did, but I'm not in the business of lying to my young, impressionable audience. Anyway, that's enough yapping out of me. Thanks for watching the fucking video, and if you'll excuse me, I have a lot more gambling I need to go and do. Oh, they're dying down there. I hear them dying.
Wait, let me come with them.
Alright.
Oh.
Oh! Oh!
Oh.